Hi everyone, how's all going? Beautiful day out here today, which is good. Just wanted to do a quick chat about our first grazing. So there's a few ryegrass paddocks around now that have got away and won't be far away from our first grazing. So there's a couple of things we need to look for. Okay, so before we can start grazing, okay, we need to do a thing called the pluck test. That's the first thing we need to do to make sure that our ryegrass is anchored down enough to be able to handle grazing. We've just spent a lot of money and time trying to get some establishment of this pasture, so we want to make sure that it's going to be able to handle the grazing and not be too detrimental to it. So for instance here, we simply go down. This is our ryegrass, and all we're doing is just grabbing a good handful, acting like a cow, and just pulling it away. Okay, don't be too gentle with it, because you want to work out what's going on and whether it's ready. Okay. And especially because some of this stuff's been spread on, some of it's going to pull out and some of it's not going to. So look, out of all those handfuls I've just pulled, I'm lucky to see about 2 or 3 roots that have come out. Okay, so we can see one here like that. Okay, that's what we don't want to see, a heap of that. But you know, if you do need to go in and graze or hit in canopy closure, and especially when we spread ryegrass, we're going to have some that haven't actually been able to hit the soil enough, or haven't actually got right down in that seed to soil contact and got the anchors of the roots. But you know, if I'm looking at all that there, I'm saying that's fine to go. That's handled the pluck test pretty well. Okay, look at that, that's bloody really good quality feed. So you know, in that scenario, pluck test is passed. What we wouldn't want to see, if I get a bit right down the stem and try and pull a few out, okay, we wouldn't want to see this sort of thing just by doing our pluck test. If we're starting to pull out all these roots, okay, we're going to be losing those plants going forward. So, okay, so we don't want to be seeing that. We want to be seeing this sort of thing, okay, absolutely perfect. Now, that's the pluck test of when we can go in. What we don't want to do in terms of going too far is go past canopy closure. So if we go past canopy closure, okay, we've got these new plants that are growing down here in the shade, all right, so these new ryegrass plants that are growing, okay, we don't want to go past canopy closure, because if we stop the light getting down here in these new pastures that are growing, or these new ryegrass plants, they put out new tillers. Okay, so we've got one perfect example there. Look at that. So you see that fella there, he's got that new tiller coming out to the side. Okay, so we want to make sure the sun's getting down to that tiller, so that then he can keep on growing, because if he can't see sunlight, he's going to abort, or he's just not going to go so well, or he's not going to be real happy at all. So that's our new plant, okay? Every time we go a new tiller like that, that's a new plant that's going to put down its own roots and keep going. Okay, so we want to make sure we look after those tillers, and by doing that, we want to make sure we're not going past canopy closure. Okay, don't overcomplicate it. You're going to have some parts, you know, where there's a bit more nutrient or whatever, that might be a bit more past canopy closure. But you know, if I go like this, I can still see a bit of dirt down in there, so we're just sort of starting to hit canopy closure. The other thing to do is open it up like a wedge, like that. Okay, open it up like you're parting the hair down the middle of your head. Okay, and we have a look down the bottom here and see if it's going yellow. Now that's all nice and green and looking quite healthy, so we know that the light's still getting down there. Okay, but you know, in that scenario there, we could graze, we'll pass the pluck test. We're getting close to canopy closure, so we want to try and get onto it. But you know, you come across here a bit more and you sit there and go, look, some of this stuff here, and this is what happens when we spread. Some of this stuff here isn't nowhere near canopy closure, okay? So, you know, you got to take the best of what you can to get across the paddock, okay? And do your best you can. But they're the two main things that you want to look for when you're doing your first grazing, is you want to be able to pass the pluck test, okay? So you want to be able to pull it out without pulling our roots, and we don't want to go past that canopy closure and shade those new tillers down the bottom. Righto guys, all the best. Have a good day. Cheers.